Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Generationally Speaking. Well, I think it's important that when you said that you time management, because once you start a business, it may not generate income right away, and it might not generate the sufficient income to for your lifestyle. So you have to have that bread and butter job to take care of the basics.
Silent investor.
Okay. Okay. Delaney, talk to us about your.
It always seemed like when she finishes, like it comes right over here to me. And yes, that corporate sponsorship. I stayed in healthcare not only to glean the systems and see what was broken so that I wouldn't repeat that in my business and learn the system flow. So that was one good thing. And I call it the corporate sponsorship because I continue to work, show up for them, and of course, obviously give 110%. But at the same time, I silently was feeding my passion as well. And so at that time, I opened my mouth and told everyone who would listen what my dream was and what my business was going to be. That helps you out with the balance part of it because my family was like, oh, okay, aren't you supposed to be doing this? They also will support your dream and hold you accountable. And then I learned that my superpower, Reverend Smith, is self-care.
Okay.
Self-care is my superpower. See, we were taught, again, in the African-American community that the more you do, serving on the usher board, being the Girl Scout leader, showing up for work, doing all these things, the more job titles you have, the more effective you are. And that is a myth. So I want you all to know that your superpower is saying, Reverend Smith, I need you to go over here and do this. It's do, delegate, or delete, like the three things. Tell somebody else what to do. That frees up your time so that you can then say, if I feel like walking around the block or going to get my hair done or doing a massage or doing nothing or reading a book or, again, you say watching show, take whatever it is you want to do, that helps to create harmony rather than balance. Balance switches each and every moment in any moment, any day. So I say harmony. Harmony makes me feel good. Harmony sounds good. And harmony is something that we all should want to experience. So for me, that's how it
I like that. You said
do it yourself. Delegate it to the people you said that you can pay or delete it altogether. Because we carry things over thinking that it's important when really when you dig down in it, it's not important. Because if it didn't get done last Monday or Monday before that, it's just delete it.
As women, understanding, as women, we can carry such a load. And when it comes to that load, it includes the financial load that we don't want to tell anybody. We don't want to share with anybody.
Correct.
How do we as women, and especially black women, how do we move past that and become free and seek out help? How do we ask for help?
And that's the hard thing. It's like, and that's a crux and issue I have as well. It's asking for help.
Yeah.
And then the thing I have learned in my, years on this earth is like, it's okay. That's what people are for. They support you, they care about you, and they want to help you.
Yeah.
And you're not alone. That's the main thing. You are not alone. You, whatever your credit score is, how many pennies you got in the bank, you are not alone.
Yeah.
It's a commonality. So for me personally, what I try to do is build a rapport with people. And it's confidential, and it's like we talk about it. You know what I mean? What's going on with you? Because I tell everyone, and when you start thinking about it, it's true. The statement I tell people, your financial problems are temporary problems.
Amen.
And it can be fixed.
Yeah.
It's just first we got to start with the mindset that you got to stop beating up on yourself and give yourself grace. Because the mistakes that happened in the past that got you here were what they were, mistakes. But I like to say not mistakes, but lessons learned. Let's take from it and learn what we didn't like about it and what we need to change to make it better. So with your finances, it's just picking up a call, picking up the phone, because I go on a case by case when it comes to clients. Some I'm like, like you said, I do charge for my time. But what it is that you got to prioritize. Like, if you don't want to keep being here where you are, then we need to change it. So you need to start doing the priorities of, okay, instead of me trying to do a shopping trip once a week or vacation once a month, because I had some clients who were going crazy with vacations. Let's save for it. Let's change it where we're going to look at where you are financially right now. We're going to go and get some goals, and then we're going to lay a blueprint to get it done. But the first thing to me is, like, in order for people to get the help, is to give yourself grace and be willing to say, enough is enough. I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of having this weight on my shoulder. Let me just go see what it is. Because it may not be as bad as what you think it is.
Yeah, facing that reality. So as women in business, Delaney, have you run across people who have downplayed what you're doing, made defamatory remarks about what you're doing, and even being discriminatory, about you as a woman moving in this business? It's like, it's not really a business.
Yeah.
It's not really a business.
Yeah. Whew, absolutely. So, I used to get offended. Now I take a posture of, let me educate you. So instead of being offended, because oftentimes some people speak out of ignorance, and so, or learned behavior, or myths. So I kind of turn it back and just say, so how do you feel that way? How did you come to that conclusion, or why do you think X, Y, and Z? So I sort of help them by digging into it and then allowing them to speak. Two things happen when you do that. It's your opportunity to educate, and then the second thing is sometimes it helps them to see how dumb they sound. So I do that.
I love it.
I'm quick with it. My husband, when we're out, I'm just quick. When we're out and somebody does that, like we're at a networking event or we're in a social event and that happens and somebody does it, he kind of just leans back like this because he's waiting. He knows what I'm about to do. And I do it with such grace that the person doesn't even know that I just kind of twist what they tried to do into something different. So yes, I don't get offended. 10 years ago, younger me, yes, I'd probably get offended and want to say a few expletives, but, now it's more of, okay, you're speaking from, obviously ignorance, and maybe you don't know, but let me take this opportunity to kind of educate you, and then also have you then think through it, because sometimes people regurgitate what they've heard back to you, maybe hoping to elicit a different response. So again, I do take that opportunity. I no longer kind of get offended. I really feel like that's an opportunity to exchange some positivity.
Dream.
So I know I always have the bright light and the bright story, but it's true, right? If they did, they didn't say it to my face. So I'm sure they did, because my mother told me, they talked about Jesus Christ and he died to save the entire world.
Exactly.
So, but for me, I honestly haven't come to face with this. I honestly have not. More so, what happens is I always promote myself and go about my way as being a problem solver.
Okay.
So anytime I'm engaged with someone or they have issues, my mind is already going like, And then for me, we talk about money, but honestly, we give so much away just in random conversations that we have, because what am I going to do with holding this idea in my head about your business? Because it's not for me, right? So I need to free up that space, so I will go ahead and give it to someone. But that's the way that I do. I have my mode of operations of providing you a solution to your problem without you even knowing it. And then that way, even if it's not that same day, not that next week, they're normally going to come back around and ask for my services, because we run the same circles. We don't do that picking your brain type of thing. We're allergic to that, right? So, but that's honestly the way that I do it. I already know that my business was designed to solve problems. So whenever someone's going, I'm a strategist too. So I'm just going and I just give it back to them in that manner. So if it does, it doesn't stick on it doesn't stick on me.
Please, Dr. Wheel.
Oh, that's okay.
Dr. Wheel.
So I agree with what they're saying. And the thing about it is like another thing is you kill them with kindness. It's like you never like go to their level. It's like you stay because like you said, my family ingrained in me, you are who you are. You were raised to have this, you know what your purpose is. You know who you are as a person. You know your worth. So that person is not going to take any type of power or worth away from me because I've been ingrained like, Sacagawea Fanny knows who she is. So if you want to come and step to me incorrectly now, we will have a conversation on that. But I'm not going to tolerate it. It's what you can't tolerate it. That's the thing you have to kind of like get that second or thick skin. Like you have to go in with that mindset of knowing who you are and confident and firm in who you are because they will come at you.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point because so many times we want certain people to support us. I mean, we want family and we want our friends to support us. And sometimes we think they are supporting us until we see the green eye, that we were like, oh, they start making little cutting remarks and sort of undermining you in your conversation. And so how, you say develop a tough skin, but how do I develop a tough skin when I see it and my mouth starts opening and the stuff starts spilling out and it's some words like I thought I didn't have those words anymore. And they're spilling out and they're just everywhere. And now I'm trying to figure out, how do I clean the floor back up because those words are out? So how do I develop a thick skin?
So a great way, and I'm just going to go with life experience. Sometimes those hard conversations have to be had. You know what I mean? You can't be afraid to bring it up. If someone is continuously, even if they're blood and continuously are doing disrespectful comments or conversations, you got to hold them accountable.
Right.
And say, hey, why is it that when I say this, you'll say this? Because you got to kind of like confront them. Because sometimes I think subconsciously, in some cases, people are saying stuff and being hurtful and they don't realize those words are hurtful. So you have to be, we got to, like I said, like I usually do, we got to do some adulting and we got to be some grown folks up in here. And we got to have that conversation. Because if they're really there for you and really family for you and a ride or die for you, they're going to be okay with having that conversation and see what we need to do to repair that relationship and make it stronger. Because like a good example is like, I didn't have the strongest relationship with my mom and my sister growing up. We were like oil and water. But to this day, but right now, being adults, when we've had conversations and we sorted through that stuff, they're my ride or dies. And I will do anything for them. And I would, got to be the little hood person. I'm like, if you come for them, you coming for me. I'm like that. They're mine. So if you try to do something to them, you can put me on the list too, because those are my ride or dies and I got their back no matter what. But we had to work through it, and we had to have some hard conversations that were painful to get that stuff, because that baggage you carried from childhood and when you're young and how people treated you, you don't understand how you hold on to that like you cling on to it for your life. But in order for your life to be better, you got to let it go. And you got to realize they were human, and hurt people hurt people. So let's see what we can do to
And Reverend Smith, one thing just to add on to that is when we talk about the support from other people and the negativity that they say, here's one thing that really helped me. What they say don't make my bank account numbers add up. So it's really like repurposing that energy, repurposing like I was good on Get Back growing up, so I could have prepared my response and got my... I take that energy and I put it in ways that's productive for me. And that's how I end up wrong. And I don't, honestly, I know people freeze up when I say this. I don't expect all of my family members to come to all of my events or to purchase. my items, my services that I provided, they're not necessarily for them. But when they're looking to have a conversation about HR, looking for a resume, then they come. I don't need them to come to every one of my empowerment, every one of my watch every one of my shows, because the message is not necessarily for them. You get empowered by answering the responses of the problems that come to you. So, yeah.
And one thing I want to add too is that you also have to take that inner look and evaluation of, are you so wrapped up in your feelings that you're also coming to the attack? So if you're not willing to change too, because I had to change too now. It wasn't all on them. You know, Sacagawea had to revamp and mindset myself. Because I was like, you can't place the fault all on the other party. You got to take some of that fault yourself, So I want to make sure I put that out there too, that when we had those conversations, I had to take accountability too for me and say, okay, so, because they were like, well, when you did this, this is how I felt. And I was like, I didn't even know that. And I'm so happy you said it, because now we have those conversations where I'm like, why you said that to me? I'm like, you just hurt my little feelings. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do, you know what I mean? It's like that now, instead of like holding on to it and carrying it with you and not saying anything. Because we as human beings, we assume people know they hurt our feelings, but they may not know how those words affected them. So always try to have that conversation.
So Delaney, you've had the conversation, and the person still hasn't changed.
I'm going to let you take that.
It's a deeper problem than that. So then I think it's like what Sacagawea was saying. Sometimes you have to look at that's the person and what are they carrying, what is their interpretation of whatever it is that they're saying as well. So I think it does go deeper, goes both ways. But I hope that during that exchange, something I said will resonate with them, that may carry them, and hopefully they'll be able to change what it is that they're thinking. Again, at that moment, I am who I am. So as the exchange goes on, I'm not looking to, have a positive outcome from it. I'm hoping to help you through the situation. So in saying that, whatever I say, that exchange, I'm not looking to make myself feel good, because again, I am who I am, right? I'm purpose, and I know once I walk away from this conversation, I'm still going to have the same impact and power. So I think for me, it's drilling down. And as a nurse, I just do this. It's just like, okay, so why did that happen? That made you feel like what? And and so what happened after that? I've asked you 5 questions only for you to dig deeper into how you came to that conclusion without you suddenly even realizing that I took you there. So again, I use that opportunity sometimes to help people to, again, they hear themselves saying it. And sometimes they realize, oh, that wasn't what I meant, or that sounded, ridiculous. So it's really helping them to, kind of work through it and solve. And hopefully that interaction will help them change how they look at their finances, be able to release themselves to just do it, or realize that they need help, emotionally or, within themselves physically. So now they want to take care of themselves or take care of the issue.
Well, Irene, all of that sounded good, but they still the same. How do I walk away? There's some people do I have to walk away from?
So basically, you said it. They are still the same. They are still the same. Now, little Dream back in the day would have had a different response, right? I used to be on Get Back, and I used to be preparing, waiting for them to come because I had a way with words.
Yep.
But now I work on myself. And I think we had this conversation before, Reverend Smith. I was saying that as I was maturing, right? I started using this less, but I used to be like, God is making me look like a sucker. I was like, God, let me get him. Let me get him.
Yeah.
But I honestly learned that when I really, really, really let go and let God deal with that, let God deal with that, then it didn't bother me anymore. My prayers changed because I used to be like, get him, God. My prayers changed. And that, Sacagawea, you made a very good point in talking about open communication. I'm an open communication. I grew up on keeping everything in the household, even my feelings. And then when it came out, they would be like, why did y'all triggered me, and I held it in. But now through having a talk show and other things, I openly share all my information. And here's what I learned. I learned not only do I help people, but I get help. All of my issues that were going on that I may not have talked about before, from health, from finances, to everything in life, someone would say, and I'd be like, you know, I'm church girl, like. But I'd be like, that's how God works. That's how God works with his big picture. You have your assignment. I have my assignment. You have yours. You have yours. Everybody have theirs. If you stay in your lane and you stay focused on what you're supposed to do, God don't want you to get them back. Or you be like, let me get them, God, let me get them. You find out. Once you mature and you go through that process, it feels so good on some instances. But I did have a flashback. God tested me the other day. But I made it through it. But in all sincerity, I focus. I can't change another person. Can't change another person. I have heard of this saying, and maybe like for 4 years, and this is what I use. You cannot ask a naked man for the shirt off his back. He naked. He don't have a shirt. Stop asking people to change or to do or to give you what they don't have in you.
That is so good. I think that's a great point because so many times we're looking for something from a person who does not have the ability to give it to us.
Right.
And so we have to accept that maturity where they are and move on. You know, still interacting as you need to, but not the expectation has to change. And once you accept that,
I can be sitting here looking at you in your face, but having a different thing. The Lord is my shepherd, I should not want. Right, you know what I mean? So I'm so serious about that, but staying in the word has really helped.
Amen. So tell me, Delaney, about some of those, when you think back over your life as that young girl growing up, what was a pivotal moment in your life that gave you the assurance of who you are?
Wow. I just wrote this probably about a week ago for an interview. It was to tell the story from my perspective and then from another person's perspective, which ended up being my mom, who also was a nurse. And so from that respect, it was watching her get dressed up. And at that time, you had to wear your white uniform, your white shoes, and a hat on your head. And I invited her to come to career day. And I was so proud. I'm sitting there. My mom's up there. She's, talking about what she does as a nurse and how she makes people feel better. And it was something about that moment that made her powerful because the entire class, you know how usually when they come in for career day, none of the kids either listen or they don't raise their hand. When she was there that day, everybody's hand went up in the air. And I was like, yes, that's my mom. It's this whole thing. So at the time, of course, I didn't really know what nursing was all about and what it meant to really care. But that was my pivotal moment to define what it was and to really figure that out. And I never looked back, which is why I ended up, going down that path as a high schooler and graduating at 17 as a nurse.
All right. Now, Sacagawea, you said that you were with your grandfather. But what was it that said to you, I'm good?
It was really in my family because they would just say, like my grandma, Lord rest her soul, she would be like, whatever you do in life, be the very best that you can be at it. She's like, if you're a broom sweeper, be the best broom sweeper they've ever seen. So it was that sense of achieving excellence and not being mediocre that was kind of like instilled in me. Like I remember, like it was yesterday, I had studied so hard for this test. It was a hard test too. I think I was in like 9th grade or something. It was some type of like science test. And it was something I wasn't familiar with, and it didn't come to me easy. I was usually used to things coming to me easy when I was a kid, And so it was something I had to study for. So I was like, I'll put my effort in and everything. And my mom saw me studying and stuff, and I took the test, and I was like, man, and I made a 97, right? Pretty good. I go and tell my mom, I was like, I made a 97. She's like, oh, that's good. What are the other 3 points? Oh, okay. But at first, it was like, oh, it kind of, bust my balloon. But then when I think back about it, it's like, no, she knew what I was capable of, and she was going to hold me to that standard. And like everybody did. It's like I would think it as a negative of like, why am I being picked on? But she literally told me, I was like, you treat us, because me and my sister, I was like, you treat us so different. She's like, because you are different, And it's like that moment, and it was just many moments that happened in my life where I was like, man, and then like when I was in the military, And like my friend would say, you know, she had her boyfriend. She was like, my boyfriend, anytime you put your mind to something, you do it. So it was like people just encouraging me, and then me finally believing it. You know, people can tell you that you're good at something, you can do whatever you want to, but until you believe it yourself, that's when that change is going to happen. So it's not like one thing for me. It was like multiple instances where I knew I was capable, but I had to believe I was capable. So
That's huge.
Ladrine, as we prepare to wrap up, I want you to share with us, the audience, your contact information, where they can find you, your show that's weekly, and then some words of encouragement for those entrepreneurs who are just thinking about getting started.
Absolutely. So you can find me on all social media platforms at doitdelivers.com is my website. My Facebook page is actually Ladrine Howard Peterson. Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Do it. No, I'm playing. I'm playing, but I could really stop there.
Yeah.
But my words of wisdom that I would leave to the audience or anyone who is trying to start a business is really focus on what you want to do. Write it down. Make it visible so that you can look at it and see it. And actually start chipping away at it. Milestones, like of success, are just moments for you to, it's okay to give yourself a pat on the back. So it's good to get encouragement for others, but encourage yourself. If I could sing, I would sing that song for you. But seriously, that was my thing. So I got so much encouragement when I was a child growing up. I thought everybody was just fabulous and wonderful until I got in my 20s. But my thing is, stay in your lane. Stop looking and crossing over. Stay in your lane. Stay focused because God has an assignment for you. And when you focus and put that energy on that assignment, it has no other way of outcome but to succeed, right? We fail when we start looking at other people. So stay focused. Write it down and count those milestones and celebrate.
Delaney?
Well, I can be found on social media at the Women's Wellness Lounge and the womenswellnesslounge.org. Or for me personally, outside of the Women's Wellness Lounge, my brand is Delana Watkins. So on social media, DelanaWatkins.com. My wisdom comes from just not finding, and you referenced this, there will be no perfect time. We wait sometimes, I think, for what we feel is the correct time, and it will never be the correct time. What you do is you correct things along the way in that time, right? We speak about, Chronos time, our time, removing ourselves from it. Do what you feel led to do, and those resources, those people, the ideas, the milestones, they will come.
They do.
Yeah.